Welcome back to Who's Fly TV, the channel where we talk about money, building wealth, and bettering yourself. Today's topic is real estate related, so I'm very excited to get into it. However, before we do any of that, I'm gonna need you guys to hit that subscribe button, turn it gray, hit the notification bell as well so you're alerted every single time I drop a new video, and give the video a thumbs up as well too, just to help with the algorithm and share this video out as far and wide as possible. So now that we got that out the way, let's dive into today's topic, which is refinancing. And I really wanna just help enlighten you guys about what a refinance is and how it can be such a powerful tool when utilized correctly. So in previous videos, I'm always preaching about the power of home ownership and all the benefits that come along with it. And this is one of them that really helps people set themselves up for financial excellence, as well as creating generational wealth, which is the reason why I got into real estate to begin with. And I want to show you guys how that's possible with a refinance. So before I get into the upsides and the benefits of a refinance, let's focus on what a refinance is to begin with, right? So what a refinance is basically a new mortgage that's going to be replacing the previous one, as well as allowing you to access and utilize the equity within your home, right? And I know you're wondering, well, what exactly is the equity in my home? What was wrong with the previous mortgage? Why am I replacing it with a new one? And I'm going to get into that and show you exactly what that means, right? Because the definition might be a little bit hard to understand without me demonstrating what those things mean and what it actually looks like. So let's run through a really quick example, right? Let's just say you, the viewer, purchased a property for $500,000 and you put down the standard 20% down payment and you're mortgaging the remainder, right? As I showed to you guys in previous videos, what a transaction looks like in real estate is that you're gonna have your purchase price, you're gonna be putting down a down payment, and the remainder of that is going to be mortgaged, right? So you got $500,000 as your purchase price for the home. You're gonna be putting down $100,000 as your down payment. That means that you're mortgaging $400,000. For the sake of this scenario, let's just pretend that overnight, your house's value goes up to $800,000, right? Overnight, you woke up, your house is appreciated enormously, and now your house is worth $800,000, right? Well, the reason why I'm pretending this happened overnight is because I don't want our mortgage to change. In real life scenarios, you know, you'd have mortgage pay down because you would have had time to make payments towards that mortgage and slowly decrease the balance of that mortgage. But for simplicity of this example, let's just pretend it was overnight. But I want to stick with that same value number because that is realistic, that you can have a property that you bought for $500,000 and over the course of time, its value increases to $800,000. Like, that number is not unrealistic. That is a very realistic number that can happen for people depending on your area and depending on what type of property you have over the course of time, right? So like I said, overnight, your house's value went from $500,000 to $800,000. That's a $300,000 increase in value overnight, right? But you still have that mortgage for $400,000. You now have the ability to take out a new mortgage for up to 80% of your house's value, right? And that's equity. That $300,000 increase in value that happened overnight is equity that is yours. You have the ability to tap into that equity for whatever you may desire, right? So let's just look at what that looks like, right? Like I said, you can take out a new mortgage for up to 80% of that house's new value, right? So 80% of $800,000 is $640,000. You can get a new mortgage for $640,000 to replace the previous one for $400,000, and you have access to that equity in between, which is the $240,000, right? 80% of the appreciation that took place overnight. You have access to that now. Whether you want to use that $240,000 to go and pay off debt, to maybe consolidate some of your debt, maybe to go get yourself a car, maybe you want to set your kids up for, you know, their education, maybe they want to send them off to school, maybe you want to go and buy another property, but that $240,000 is available to you to utilize now for whatever you choose, granted that you can qualify for this $640,000 loan. As I said in my previous mortgage qualification video, you have to qualify for the loan that it is that you're going to be responsible for. So all things being relative and being fair, yes, you do still have to qualify for this new mortgage that you plan to take out on this new value of your home. However, you don't have to actually go up to that 80% mark. You have the ability to take less. You can take 70% of the house's new value. You can take 60% of the new value. But essentially what you want to do is make sure that that new mortgage that you're taking out is going to be equivalent to or greater than the previous mortgage that you had. So that way you still have the ability to discharge the previous mortgage, right? And if you would like to take out the excess to do whatever with, you have the ability to do so, granted that you can qualify for it, right? So now that we've understood what a refinance actually looks like, let me actually focus back now on what the benefits of this refinance can be, right? Because you're probably wondering, well, yes, now we've got $240,000 of equity that we can utilize in other areas. What are the benefits of that though? And let me show you some of the options, right? And my two that I really want to focus on in this particular video is one, debt consolidation, and two, acquiring other properties, right? Because I know a lot of us have the desire to be debt free. I can tell you firsthand that that is a very freeing feeling. And also, I know a lot of us want to go and acquire other properties to help, you know, maybe have it as an investment. Maybe you want to get rental income. Maybe you want to have yourself a portfolio that gives you nice passive income, right? Well, this is how you can utilize that equity to do so. So let's focus on the debt consolidation portion first, right? I know a lot of people are wondering, well, Royson, why would I use one loan to really buy out another loan? I'm still in debt. And I know a mortgage can be a very intimidating debt because people are like, that is the biggest amount of money that people are going to be tied to, right? But I also want to let people focus and understand as well that a mortgage is one of the lowest interest rate products that you can get right now, right? So in Canada right now, on average, interest rates are looking like anywhere in between 1.5% and 3%, right? Let's just say 2% on average. And that 2% interest rate is lower than almost all of the other interest rates that you'd face amongst all other debts that you have outstanding, right? People have credit card debts that start at 19% interest. People have got line of credit debt that have, you know, 6 or 7 or 8% interest. People got car loans that they're financing at maybe 5 to 6 or 7% interest over 7 years. And some people also may have student loans as well too. And those can be large numbers at larger interest rates than your mortgage, right? So why wouldn't you use the lowest possible interest rate product to pay off all of that higher interest debt and then wrap those payments into the lowest possible interest rate, right? And I just want to demonstrate to you again with all my examples that I love to give you guys, because I see on a day-to-day basis when I'm working with my clients how these refinances can be powerful and help people on a very, very massive scale. Like always, let me just give you another example. So let's revert back to the initial example where we had a $400,000 mortgage, right? A $400,000 mortgage at a 2% interest rate is gonna be somewhere around $1,700 a month. Just that mortgage alone. We're just gonna focus on that. That's $1,700 a month going towards your mortgage. You might have some credit card debts outstanding as well. Let's just say those are gonna cost you about $300 on a monthly basis, right? The balance is outstanding. You have to pay $300 a month to that credit card just to satisfy that debt. You also have a car loan. Let's just say your car loan is $400 a month, right? You're paying $400 to finance this car that you've been financing for the past couple of years, and you still have a couple more years to finance it till you bring that balance down to zero. Let's also say you pay $300 to your student loans every month to eventually get that balance down to zero because you went to school, you got a nice degree, you got a nice job now, and now you're paying back for the loans that were lent to you while you were a student. Okay, so overall you have that $1,700 mortgage payment, you've got that $300 going to your student loan, you've got that $300 going to your credit card, and you got another $400 going to your car loan as well, right? So collectively you're paying $2,700 a month just between those four products, right? But what if now we take out a bigger mortgage, and let's not use the same 640, let's just use a smaller amount. Let's just say we're gonna go refinance now for $500,000 loan, okay? And in that loan, we're going to pay off the previous mortgage of $400,000, and we're going to pay off the credit card debt that we were paying off slowly but surely with those $300 payments. We're gonna pay off the car loan in full, so you have no more car loan payments to make. And we're also gonna pay off your student loans as well too. So now you have no more debt on the side to pay. And $1,000 that you were paying towards your student loans, your credit cards, and your car payment is gone. It's done. We eliminated it because we paid it off with this new mortgage, right? Now you just have to focus on paying this $500,000 mortgage now at still 2% rate interest, right? But a $500,000 mortgage at 2% interest is gonna cost you about $2,000 a month, right? So yes, your mortgage payment has gone up $300, but we eliminated $1,000 that was going to other debts. So really we've saved $700 amongst our financial portfolio and other debts that we're paying back on a month-to-month basis by financing and increasing the mortgage but eliminating all the other debts, right? And I think that can be really powerful because now that's an extra $700 of your income that is free to go to whatever else you choose, right? And we're not even focusing on actually tapping into the equity that's still left over if you were to maximize your refinance. We're just focusing on the debt portion here, right? And that can be super, super powerful when you're looking at A, maximizing your income, B, decreasing your debts, right? Because we don't want to be spread so thin amongst the debts that we have obligation to pay back that we don't even have any money left over to enjoy our lives and have the quality of life that we really desire. So why not maximize yourself by wrapping those higher interest rate debts into the lowest interest rate product possible, right? Just looking at things on a very numerical scale, you take a 2% product and you pay off a 19% product with it, you just save yourself 90% interest over the course of however long you would have had that debt outstanding, right? And that's really what it could look like for you. So yes, like I said, we're gonna be trading in that $1,700 mortgage payment for one that is now $2,000 a month. However, we no longer have to pay $1,000 to those other products that we're gonna be eating away at our income on a month-to-month basis, right? It frees up your income going forward. Now you have the capacity to do other things with your money. Maybe you can save up even faster to go and buy yourself another car outright, you know what I mean? Or maybe you wanna just go and take yourself on a vacation, right? Because now with 3 months of extra $700 saved up, you have $2,100 to go take yourself on a nice all-inclusive vacation, right? To wherever you want to go. But that is the power of freeing up your income, because like I've said in previous videos, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep at the end of the day. People make a lot of money but end up spending a lot of it through debts and various obligations. But if we can minimize that, we now have a lot more money for ourselves to do whatever we choose with. Now we can move on to the second upside, which is my personal favorite, and I think in my experience has really been transcendent in helping me acquire my next property and how I plan to scale my portfolio and expand even bigger to a bigger portfolio, because I now understand how money works and the power of home ownership and how it can help me scale, right? So let's just paint the picture now and show you how having that first property can help you extract equity and go acquire other properties with it now, right? So let's revert back to that initial example from the beginning of this video, right? You have a property that you're mortgaging $400,000 on. You initially bought it for $500,000 and its value has gone up overnight, right? Or not even overnight, the value has gone up over the course of time, right? Now you can access a bigger mortgage, granted that you can qualify for it still. And with the excess that is left over after buying out the previous mortgage and, you know, clearing up debt, you have some equity left over. You can now utilize that equity to go and acquire another property. That equity can be used as a down payment to go and get yourself another home that you end up using for maybe an investment property. Maybe you want to go get a nice cash flowing property, right? So that can be really powerful now, because you've essentially made one house turn into two, and then you can make two houses turn into three, which will turn into four, which can then turn into five, and then now you know what, you've got a massive real estate business, right? But that all starts with having the initial home ownership, buying smart, and then also waiting for your house to accumulate equity in it over the course of time through appreciation, right? Like I've said before, it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market, because that time in the market is what's going to create that equity that you can now tap into to utilize however you choose. So I know you're probably wondering, well, wait a minute, Royston, we just showed and we understand now that this new mortgage that we're going to be getting after the refinance is going to result in us having a larger mortgage payment, right? So is it worth it now to increase my mortgage payment to go and get another property that's going to have another mortgage attached to it? Well, yes. Let me demonstrate how that can make sense, right? Because I don't want to make that get lost in translation. So let's just go back to that same example that I've been referring to for this entire video, and you still have that $400,000 mortgage that's costing you about $1,700 a month, right? And if we go and get that $640,000 mortgage, still at 2% interest rate, we're not gonna be paying roughly $2,700 a month, right? So your mortgage payment has increased by $1,000 a month. And I know that that can be daunting, because you're just like, well, you know, I was paying $1,700 before, now I'm gonna be paying $2,700, not to mention I'm gonna have another property under my belt to worry about. Well, if that next property that you get cash flows more than the increase of mortgage payment on this current property, what are you worried about? You know what I mean? That's how I look at it, because if that next property that you're going to be acquiring is going to be with the intention to cash flow or create some sort of benefit for you either now or in the future or both, then as long as you do your due diligence and you do the proper research to make sure that it's a smart purchase that you're going to be getting into going forward, then you can actually be in a better position than you were in previously. And this is why it's very crucial and important that you hit up your real estate professionals that can, you know, look at the mortgage process for you. That would be me. So it's my job now to really find that sweet spot of, well, what is the new mortgage that we should take out, and what is that cost going to be that is going to be beneficial for you to increase your payment by, but also create a new cash flow that's going to offset it and also leave you with an excess in your pocket every month. Well, so let's look at the logistics of that transaction. So let's just say you have that $400,000 mortgage, and now you're going to be refinancing for a new mortgage of $640,000, right? And like I said, that's going to result in an increase of mortgage payments of about $1,000, right? And you're going to be left with $240,000 as equity to go and utilize elsewhere. Let's just pretend you're already debt free. So if you go and utilize that new equity as your down payment on another property, that's going to cash flow you $1,500 every month. Now you cover that $1,000 increase that was taking place on your current property, and also leaves you with $500 excess cash flow in your pocket still, because the money that's going to be generated from this new acquisition is going to be in excess of whatever the increase is in your monthly payments on that mortgage, right? So again, let me just walk through that and make that as clear and simplistic as possible. So you have your current mortgage now at $640,000, and that's going to result in you paying $2,700 a month, right? That is $1,000 more than you were paying before. However, let's just say the new property that we acquire with that $240,000 that was allowed to us in equity through that refinance, we go get ourselves a property now that has a mortgage of $2,000 a month, but it's gonna cash flow $3,500 a month, right? And that is very possible. So now we have enough cash flow from that other property to satisfy the increase in mortgage that I just got on my refinance. So that $1,500 in cash flow, $1,000 of it is going to go towards that increase in mortgage on my initial property, but that's also going to be enough to offset the mortgage on that new property, and then still leave me with $500 left over in my pocket cash flow that I'm now making because I accessed and utilized the equity properly within my current and first property. So I know that can be very, very interesting and very that's a lot of numbers right now. And I know you're probably overwhelmed, and I just want to let you know that it is okay. This is why this is just the initial conversation to have, so that I can get your brain thinking and understanding the possibilities that are out there through homeownership and what a refinance can do for you. And honestly, on this channel, I really want to promote transparency, and I have no problem walking you guys through my real estate investing journey and being as open and honest as possible about it. So I want to show you guys how a refinance was able to help me get my second property and now have 2 properties to my name. So let's rewind to 2019 when I got my first property, as I showed you guys on this channel. A really great video, by the way. I would really strongly urge you guys to go watch it. I rewatch it from time to time just to relive the moment. I got my first property in 2019, and I got it for about $375. $375, wow, $375,000. And my down payment was $25,000 on that house. So I was mortgaging about $350,000 in $20,000. The numbers are getting to me right now. Bear with me. I'm almost there. We're almost at the finish line. So I was mortgaging about $350,000 in 2019. Fast forward about a year and a half after that, I was seeing a lot of people in my area putting their house up for sale, and I was seeing those, lovely large signs that was saying that this house had sold for X amount over asking. And I was just naturally curious to know, well, what was that price that it actually ended up selling for? Because my house is very similar to the houses that are being sold in this area, because we all had townhouses that were built pretty similarly. And I was like, well, let me see what my house is worth, because I'm just curious naturally, right? And I was also just trying to enlighten myself and inform myself and educate myself on how this real estate stuff works when you're a homeowner. So I, did my due diligence. I figured out how much these houses were selling for. They were selling for about, $510,000, $520,000. However, my townhouse was the end unit, which means it was slightly bigger than the other ones that were being sold. So I was like, okay, you know what? My house should be a little bit more valuable than the ones that I'm seeing get sold right now. So after doing my research and actually inquiring with some real estate professionals, I realized that my house was actually worth about $540,000, right? Remembering that I had gotten the house for $375,000 less than 2 years ago. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do here? A refinance was suggested to me, and I was like, okay, let's look into it. So with the refinance now, I was able to get a new mortgage for 80% of my house's current value, right? My house was bought for $375,000, but it was valued at $540,000 right now. So I was able to get a new mortgage for 80% of that, which ended up being $432,000. So now with that $432,000 mortgage, that's gonna buy out the previous mortgage that I had, which was paid down a little bit from the $350 that I was initially mortgaging, because I had paid my mortgage for 1.5 years up until that point. So now after discharging that mortgage, I am now left with the equity that's left over with the difference, right? So now with that new mortgage of $432,000, I was able to buy out my previous mortgage of, less than $350,000. And then also use the excess that was left over as my down payment to acquire my next property, right? And that is how I was able to, basically utilize the equity that was built up in that property with, the mixture of mortgage pay down as well as appreciation in the market, and utilize that now to go and buy my next property. So I was able to expand my portfolio without having to sacrifice and sell a whole property and now go buy another one, right? Because that can be a tedious process that ends up, costing a lot with, agent fees and commission fees and all that stuff in between, legal fees. With the refinance now, I was able to retain the property as well as utilize the equity within it to go and acquire another property. And that new property that I got now is going to be cash flowing me much more than the increase in my mortgage, right? Because not only did I discharge another mortgage that I had previously for a lesser amount, my new mortgage was actually at a lesser interest rate because interest rates had dipped over the course of time, which is really just more so me doing things at the perfect time. It was just a perfect storm because interest rates had dipped over the course of the pandemic. So I want to capitalize on that as well. But that's something that I really want people to realize as well too. If you have a mortgage interest rate at one amount, but then you understand and see that interest rates are lower than it was before, you have the ability now to capitalize on that and get lesser interest rates. Because if your mortgage amount stays the same, but you just go and get a lower interest rate, you're making less on your monthly payments towards that mortgage. So there's a lot of reasons why you would be incentivized to go and get a refinance done if you understand numbers, you do your due diligence and your research, and you're well educated on these topics, right? So that's why I really want people to, just look into things and understand that home ownership has an abundance of upsides to it. It's just a matter of you informing yourself and educating yourself on what they are. And hopefully this video was able to do just that. And hopefully my demonstration was inspiration enough for you to realize that, home ownership has a lot of upside to it. Let me take it a little bit more seriously if I'm not already doing so. So if you're someone who's watching this video and you're like, I was on the fence about home ownership, maybe this could be the thing that tips the scale for you and lets you realize that this is something that you should pursue as well, so that you can utilize these benefits and these tools to go ahead and better yourself financially and create generational wealth. Because you can quickly see how now you can turn one property into two into three into five, because you understand that with that equity that takes place and the appreciation that takes place within your home, you can now play Monopoly, right? So if you're someone who's also already a homeowner and you didn't understand that this was a tool that was available to you, go ahead and utilize it. I am a mortgage broker who is willing to talk to you at any point in time just to have these conversations and enlighten you and further inform you on the different options that are available to you. But we have to have those conversations. So hopefully this video was able to spark that interest in you, and you can have a conversation if need be. Feel free to hit me up. My information is all within the description of this video. I'm always willing to have conversations, whether it ends up being something that you pursue or not. I just love having these conversations, right? So that being said, make sure you guys hit that subscription button. Make sure you turn on the notification bell. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you learned something. Also, in the comments below, explain to me what you think you would do with the refinance. Would you go ahead and wrap your debts into it? Do you think it'd be better to go and get another property? Maybe you want to do both because you may have the capacity to do so. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think is the most powerful benefit of a refinance? Until next time, make sure you guys stay blessed, and we will be back soon. Peace.